and welcome to the January 2014 Suffolk County Council on Environmental Quality meeting. Okay. Members of the board, did everybody have a chance to look over the minutes of December 2013?
Yeah.
Any concerns?
Mr. Spencer should be Mrs. That's the only error I found.
Okay, is there a motion to accept them? Seconded? Seconded by Carol, all in favor?
I'll abstain on that one.
Motion passed. Okay. Correspondence, is there anything in our packets we should be aware of?
No correspondence.
I just want to remind everyone, this is a public meeting. If you have something that you would like to contribute, please wait till we're talking about that topic, and we'll gladly let you contribute. The Historic Trust docket. Any updates on the housing program for Historic Trust docket?
Okay, good morning. All of our housing units are filled at this time. We don't have any vacancies. With our contracts work, I just wanted to take my time to explain a bit the resolution that Legislator Snyderman has put forward to create an agreement at the Cedar Point Lighthouse. And this resolution went forward, but we already have an agreement in place. That's what I wanted to explain. We've been working with the, it's actually, the official name is the Long Island Chapter of the U.S. Lighthouse Society, and we've been working with them since 2003. They've already restored the oil house next to the lighthouse. They recently started the restoration of the lighthouse building itself by removing the lantern and moving it into Sag Harbor to actually restore that off-site, and that's when the organization met with Legislator Snyderman. I don't think he realized, or it wasn't explained to him at that point, that they already had an agreement. That's why they were allowed to do that work, and we have been in formal contract with a license agreement with them since 2011. So that's what really allowed them to do that work. The agreement we have is a 20-year agreement, which is what he requested in his resolution, and this is ongoing. Commissioner from Parks, Greg Dawson, which will be talking with Legislator Snyderman to explain that to him, and go from there.
Thank you. Is that all?
Yes.
If you recall, last month I had asked if you could inquire about an old house in head of the harbor, and it's my understanding that it's been sold. So I don't know if that means it's a dead issue. The thing that was scary about it is that the guy it was sold to is I guess his specialty is knocking down old houses. And
Yeah, I got your last email when you said that it was being looked at to being sold, so I didn't pursue it. My question was, is the village, that's in head of the harbor, right?
yeah,
Do they have any landmark law that can protect it as you go forward?
they may have through the Architectural Review Board procedure,
Right.
but they don't have a historic district.
Okay.
But maybe at some point, if you guys look into the house at all, a letter of support to prevent it from being torn down might be beneficial.
Okay.
They can't stop it. They can't stop it from being torn down.
Okay, we can move on. Okay, project review, recommended type 1 actions. Proposed acquisition of land by Suffolk County for active recreation purposes known as the Board of Education Middle Country Central School District Number 11 property, Boyle Road, Town of Brookhaven. Good morning, Loretta.
Good morning.
How are you?
You have before you a packet of information that was prepared upon your request for Part 3 to address certain key issues that you identified at the last meeting. And I'd like to just go through that with you. The first attachment is the ecological assessment of the property. John Turner and myself went out to the site yesterday, and in your packet, the first piece of information dated January 14th is a written description of that assessment by John Turner, and attached to that is are photographs of the property. Generally, it's an oak, mixed oak forest with some pitch pine scattered throughout. There are numerous trails on the property, and there's very little understory per se. Property's heavily used by the school children and people in the area. There's a number of mobiles, and it's kind of used by the kids over the years. And there wasn't any environmentally sensitive species that we found on the property per se. No environmentally endangered or threatened species that we found. So at this point, that is what, the assessment we have for you on that. The second piece of information that you requested is the project's impact on traffic. And as you'll see, there's a packet of information from McLean Associates, as well as an additional letter that was handed out this morning, updating that information from McLean. Would anyone like to speak on behalf of that? You could come up and...
On that specific matter?
Yes.
If I stand here.
Yes, that's fine.
Hi, my name is Ray DeBias, and I'm Executive Vice President of L.K. McLean Associates in Brookhaven. Just 10 seconds of background on me. I'm a professional traffic operations engineer in addition to being a professional engineer, and I'm also a professional transportation planner with 35 years of experience. I was asked to put together a brief traffic assessment for this project, which I did yesterday. And you have that memo. It's a 2-page memo, and I can kind of walk you through it. I don't know in the packet if they have the aerial view of the...
They have that. They had
Okay.
that in the original packet.
You should have this aerial view of the conceptual plan of the entire park. Typically, a traffic impact is going to be worst at the intersection, major intersection that's closest to the site. In this case, it's the intersection of Hawkins and Boyle, which is a heavily traveled intersection, which is controlled by a traffic signal. What we did is we used standard traffic generation for the park in terms of numbers of trips. That's published by the Institute of Transportation to determine how many additional cars would be generated by the park. We then recognized that there are 2 entrances to the park, one being on Boyle Road north of the Boyle Road-Hawkins intersection, one being on Hawkins Road west of the intersection. People traveling to the park from the west and the north don't have to travel through the intersection because of those access points. They can go directly in and out on those roadways without going through the Hawkins and Boyle intersection. So what we did is we determined the total number of trips that would be generated by the park in the peak hour, which traffic engineers always look at the peak hour of operation as the critical hour. We determined that number. We then reduced it by what I just said, that some people would not be traveling through the intersection, or a healthy percentage would not have to travel through the intersection. We reduced it by the fact that there is bus service there, that some people will take trips by bus. We estimated about 10% of the people coming to the park would take the bus. And the bus actually runs along both roadways, Boyle and Hawkins. It loops around, so it's one of the local routes. It's the 6B route, so it provides good service to the residents of the area. We then determined that the additional traffic at the intersection during the peak hour, just due to the park operation, would be about 70 vehicles in the hour, which is about 1 per minute. Now, those 70 vehicles aren't all in one direction. They're scattered because some of them are making turns because they're coming from different directions. That 70 vehicles, based on traffic counts at the intersection in the evening peak, represents about a 4% traffic increase, which is minor for this intersection. It won't have a significant impact on traffic capacity. The way to get a more exact impact on traffic capacity is to run an intersection capacity analysis, which gives you more quantifiable results in terms of traffic impact. But I can tell you that based on a 4% increase at that intersection and the fact that those traffic volumes, the additional traffic volumes, will be scattered among the intersection approaches, it'll be a minor impact in terms of capacity of the intersection. Now it's interesting, the town, and we actually did this study for the town about 5 years ago, a safety study and capacity study of the intersection. And one of the recommendations for that came out of that study as a potential recommendation was that if the town could get property from the school district to build a southbound right turn lane on Boyle approaching Hawkins at the intersection. So somebody traveling south on Boyle wants to make a right on Hawkins, it would be a separate right turn lane. And we determined that that would have a significant improvement in capacity if that could be done. This was 5 years ago. The fact that now property is being acquired from the school district, that would be a nice improvement to make as part of the park project, to widen that Boyle Road for short distance, just to put that right turn lane in and get those right turning vehicles out of the way of the through traffic. And that improvement would offset any minor deterioration in capacity based on the 4% increase in volume. I also want to say that if you look at the schematic plan, you see a lot of parking spaces. We also looked at the minimum requirement for parking for a facility of this size based on acreage. And using, again, Institute of Transportation Engineers data, the average observed parking at a site actually happened to be the same size as this, was about 130 parking spaces. You would never go with the average because you have different events and all the fields might be active at one time. So even if you double that, you're up around 250, 260 parking spaces. What you see in front of you is over 400 spaces. So there's plenty of parking, and if you looked at this plan, you might think, well, wow, there's going to be a lot of cars coming in and out. But if you really think about it, it's probably maybe about 60% of the spaces relative to the traffic increase. Anybody have any questions? Yes.
The expansion of that intersection at Boyle and Hawkins, in terms of a percentage, how much do you think there might be in terms of improvement, if you can express it that way? I mean,
It would be
significant
equal to or greater than the 4% traffic increase that I spoke about for the park. It would probably exceed that, because that was one. I know that right turn. I don't have the traffic volumes right in front of me. I do have the old traffic study with me, but I believe that right turn was carrying about between 150 and 200 vehicles per hour. Right, so that right
on
turn
the road, it does jam up.
That was a significant turning.
You mentioned your suggestion of improving the right turn lane. Is that now an official part of the proposal?
No, actually, that part of the property is still going to be owned by the school. Actually, that corner is not part of the acquisition area.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, this was my thought yesterday when I put the memo together, that if there was property being acquired, possibly, and this is a very small sliver of property that would be needed for this, that might be a good opportunity to get the property to do that. Well, it's probably a 10-foot indentation, and probably go for maybe, by the time you get the length of the lane and the taper back for the widening, you're probably talking 10 foot wide by 500 feet long, so 5,000 square feet, so, 10th of an acre, a little bit more.
Yeah, about an acre.
It's minimal.
Okay. The next area of information you were looking for regarded the lighting and possible impacts on the surrounding neighbors. So in your packet, there is information from Musco Lighting and Eddie Morris. Can you speak on?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Eddie Morris. I'm the Parks Commissioner for Brookhaven Town. Also Ed Marines, Chief of Staff. As you see, the proposal calls for 4 baseball fields, 2 larger, and then 2 multi-purpose fields. The town would only be proposing to light the 2 multi-purpose fields on the north side of the property and the 2 bigger baseball fields in the middle of the property. there's quite a, decent buffer between fields. And the lighting system that the town of Brookhaven is proposing to use and has used in several facilities is a newer, state-of-the-art Moscow lighting system. It's computer automated. It's turned on and turned off by computers, according to permits taken out by organizations. They also produce a lot less light spillage outside areas other than the field. They have shield technology where, say, 80% or more of the light is directed right onto the field. You would probably looking at 2 or 6 stanchions or poles for the 2 multi-purpose fields, and then another 10 to 12 poles for the 2 baseball fields. We've used this exact system on several of the complexes, major complexes throughout the town, with very little, if any, complaints from surrounding neighborhoods.
So, based on what you say, can we assume then this meets the criteria for dark skies?
They are dark skies compliant, yes.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Any other questions?
Yeah. I don't have the area, the map that Loretta, for example, has. The question I have is, I'm trying to orient myself on all this. Again, I have some maps over here. The stanchions for the lights and basically the orientation of the lights, is that going to be away from the majority of houses?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. And it's, again, which fields are being lit?
2 multi-purpose fields on the north side, and then the 2 bigger baseball fields in the middle of the project.
Okay, so basically it looks as if it would be shining more towards the school as
Yes.
opposed to houses across from Boyle Road, or
Correct.
on the other side of Boyle Road.
Correct.
Okay. That makes it a lot better.
And the range of the height of the light poles will vary. The baseball field will probably be somewhere in the range of 70 to 80, and the multi-purpose fields will be 70 or less.
Out of curiosity, Mr. Morris, the lighting to have nighttime playing, I mean, what's typically the time of the evening that the park is, let's say, closed and the lights are turned off? Is there any guideline?
It ranges by season, but typically somewhere between 10 and 11 o'clock at night.
Oh, it does go that way?
Yes. The town, I think the town ordinance is all my fields have to be off by 11 o'clock, and we typically shut them off by 11:15 to give people a chance to get out of the park.
And they really are used that late in the evening?
Our fields are booked, from, on a weekend, from 8 o'clock in the morning till 11 o'clock at night, all year round for the most part. There was also a study done by Nelson 2 or 3 years ago. It was a fields needs assessment study, which identified what the town would need to grow its athletic complexes to accommodate the needs of the groups, and they came up with somewhere over 70 additional fields were needed in the town of Brookhaven. And it wasn't just a study on town complexes. It looked at other outside athletic complexes, including school facilities as well.
We've had that pressure before on lands that have been purchased by the county, and people always want to put ball fields on them. I show you some of the properties in Huntington, etc. The pressure is there.
So the multi-purpose fields are basically used for like soccer and stuff?
Soccer, lacrosse, football, field hockey, everything but baseball and softball.
Okay, thank you. Eva?
So I just want to go back to lighting for 1 minute. So the lights are set on the interior of the field somewhere?
Just on the outside of the fields,
Just,
on the playing surface.
the playing surfaces?
Yes.
Oh, yes, but I mean inside, when I'm saying the field, I'm saying the park, so that there's a tree line that separates the lighting from the neighborhood.
Yeah, there'll
structures.
be a significant buffer. I don't know the exact, but it probably ranges from a minimum 50 up to 75 or 100 feet buffer between some of the surrounding neighborhoods.
So the tree buffer?
Yes. In addition, the town, when we build a complex, you can look at several complexes, we usually do a substantial planting plan of trees and shrubs, and so it'll be landscaped further than already exists.
All right, so but these are full mature trees?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And on that point, I didn't notice this before, but it appears that the westernmost parking lot, that there's absolutely no buffer for that one house on Catherine Drive. I hope that would change so that,
Just keep
That
in mind,
last row of lots.
this is a conceptual plan only, for purposes of this meeting and the possible acquisition. Once, the county moves forward, if they do and, acquires this property, then the town will, actually hire an engineer and start looking at it.
so in all areas, there will be a buffer of at least, what was the minimum?
Minimum 50, but we usually shoot for 75 to 100.
So you can request to have that removed.
Where were you talking about
See
again?
Catherine Drive?
Yes.
That's the side of the property,
There's that one house where there appears
This one?
right by the parking
the
lot.
fence will be there, those cars on the edge.
Well, I don't know where you, I'm not sure where you're talking about.
Look, by the
Oh, okay,
parking
the new
lot.
plan.
It's the west side of the parking lot.
Just keep in mind, these two Little League fields won't be lit.
This one. I don't have that one. Okay.
The two Little League fields won't be lit.
Got that. This is the parking lot.
This is new.
If I could just make a comment that those properties over here on that conceptual plan are the Grace Presbyterian Church property, which is already acquired, which we're not proposing before you today. We're just giving you an overview of the entire site,
Yeah, yeah.
but we've already acquired Grace Presbyterian with the approval of the two ball fields.
Below.
And we
town
already
will-
own it, the county owns it, and the town is in the process of developing.
Well, we also said that when you had a final plan, did you need to come back for our
If there's
approval?
significant changes and,
Right.
in the plan, especially with regard to buffer areas, they would need to come back.
Yeah, because I think, if I just say, the tree thing is really important because, I mean, you have certain spillage with the lighting, but it also, some of that light, even though it may be dark sky friendly, it kind of, especially depending on weather conditions, it can illuminate beyond what you would normally think is the sight line of the
You'd be
shed. of the light.
surprised, it's
So-
very limited these days, the technology is so far advanced. If you look at a facility where, it's just has dark skies compliant lights, this Moscow system, it doesn't spill out further than maybe 50 feet outside the boundaries of the field.
Right, but I'm not talking about spillage, I'm just talking about the ambient light that is created by the amount of light that's there.
Mhm.
And so, for people at nighttime, in order to, for health reasons, need to have a certain, distance or blockage so that there isn't light shedding into windows at night by the ambient light that's created. True, you have a kind of a theoretical line,
Mhm.
but there's also, how it
I
can glow,
understand.
is I guess the word I was
We'll
looking
certainly keep the appropriate buffers, but just on that Grace Presbyterian property, that was already in existence, two fields that were operated by the Church League that are now dilapidated and eyesore. The county's already purchased it, the town's in the process of doing an MOU with the county where we already have budgeted, we're gonna be developing two small Little League fields there without lighting. Those fields will not get lighting, they are a little too close to the
Can I make a suggestion
neighboring
just for a
properties.
second, because there is some confusion? Can we grab one of the maps again?
Yes, 'cause we
One of the
haven't
color
seen
ones.
it.
I haven't
You don't-
seen the map
We're
at
making
all.
the call if you
Yeah.
don't know what
We're
we're looking
looking
at.
at this
Oh,
one.
yeah, it's very hard to read that.
If I could, I don't want to interrupt. I'm
didn't
Kevin
realize you
Laval,
did.
I'm the councilman in the area. I have a map right here, kind of give you a little bit more of a idea
one
of the
they have.
property of what we're
Right.
talking about here, because I see there's a little confusion about what's
No, we're
going
just trying to
on.
orient, we have several maps here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The color one is,
This overall view right now, I'll pass it around just to give you an idea, description of what the area is right now. To the east, to the west of the property are the two Little League fields that you're looking at. That property is currently owned by the county. The town this year is going into development to redevelop the two baseball fields that are there on the western portion. To the north of the property up here is Veterans Ball Field. Currently, it's town-owned ball field. It's lit. It has lights on it. I think the lights, one of the big things that we look at right now, it's already a lit facility to the north. That's owned by the town. What we're talking about is the 15 acres that combines both of those parcels. So if you can take a look at the map that Loretta just passed out right there, that kind of gives you a description of what we're looking at right now. Basically, what we're trying to do with this parcel is combine two existing parks into one larger portion. So that's really the overall goal here. And as I said, the park to the north is already lit. One of the things with
old system.
The
Okay.
system that we're actually using right now there is something that the
Will that be
residents in the area have seen
replaced with the
before.
new dark skies lighting?
This is what we're gonna put into the new incorporation.
I've seen some of their dark sky lightings in the past,
I have a question.
and
Yeah.
they're not bad. I
Can
mean,
you please identify what
Which
is the
one?
correct map we're dealing with?
Yeah. These are
We are
different.
We got
dealing
three
with-
separate maps. We got
Okay.
this map, Loretta, that isn't right. We got the map in the report that the EAF that isn't right. And we got the
No,
other map
that's,
with another
no,
parking
don't,
lot in here.
that's not right. This is what we're acquiring. This is the
No, I
property.
understand
know
what
we're
you're acquiring.
acquiring.
We want
And
to know
then
what the
this
build-out
is the overall schematic of the 3 parcels, how they integrate together.
Well, I understand that, but what is the proposed build-out? You got a thing with a parking lot next to a housing
And
residence here.
this one doesn't, so that's what
And
we're
that
trying
one
to figure
doesn't.
out.
That's very confusing.
All right, let me just
Look at
see.
these, Loretta, up
That
close.
was done, there was a second map done at the request of Suffolk County
I had
Parks,
this
because they're
one.
trying to do the
This is
MOU
what
with the
Laura's
county.
talking about this homeowner with the
Oh,
lighting.
that's been
And now we have
changed,
this
right,
one.
this is old.
All right.
all right, which ones?
This is the
We're-
correct one.
So this is the correct one, so we don't have to worry
Yeah,
about
we've got a little
the
confusion.
Okay.
parking lot.
What we just did is because, as I said before, we're developing those 2 Little League fields this year. Suffolk County Planning had requested an updated version just to show some parking there because we want to go ahead and start the development of those 2 fields. Obviously, we're going through this process to do the whole overall map. So that's what they just requested so we could update it, and that was the updated one that we just gave you today.
I got a July 2013. All right, we're sort of.
All right, so
oriented.
we now see when Legislator Hahn was concerned about that one homeowner backing up on where the other parking lot was, that is now not the plan. The parking lot is next to the
Right.
Grace Presbyterian Church, so it's protected from those private homeowners.
Right.
So that's a big help. So that's what we were all confused about, because the other map showed it the other way.
Okay. Apologize.
Gotcha.
Okay,
But Gloria, by the same vein, looking at the 2013 July map,
yeah.
the buffering may not be possible along the east side along Boyle, because there's parking lots over there. Okay, a previous iteration of this thing was showing there
Right.
was trees over there. I think the way we should handle this is to make a recommendation that buffering where possible be kept. I mean, the town obviously has indicated that they want to try and preserve the buffers between the residential and the construction area, but at the same time, I don't want to try and limit them in terms of where the parking is going to be going, because I can see it being squeezed in over here. They're trying to maximize usage of the acquired spaces.
What are you talking about, Michael? I don't
Yeah.
understand.
Legislator Hahn had brought up buffering.
Right.
You had also brought up buffering.
Yes.
It's an important issue, because I've seen enough parks in my time, for example, in Smithtown, where they have the dark sky technology, the light stanchions are right on the edge of the property.
Right.
Yeah, they
Thank you.
focus only upon the
But you have that
upon the park.
glow.
There's a glow,
Right.
you know it's there, but it doesn't necessarily splash onto the nearby property. So that's why I'm just
There's
saying.
existing parking lots on
Yeah.
Boyle Road here now, so.
Well,
And on Boyle, if I could just mention, on Boyle Road, if I could just borrow this.
Right.
This area on Boyle right here, what it looks as though they're houses,
Yes.
those are actually businesses. There's actually a business community there. It's doctor's offices and what have you. That goes approximately almost to the end of where the parking lot that you're looking at, that's on
Yeah.
Boyle Road. So that whole corner
It's
is
a
all
commercial
businesses,
corridor.
doctor's offices, and what have you. So
That helps.
that's part of the rationale of why when we
Okay.
look at this, it actually gives us an advantage. It's not all residential in the area.
Yeah, because
that's
that helps
Yeah.
understand.
I have a point of clarification. The town requires a minimum of 50-foot buffer?
That's the rule we typically follow,
The rule.
between 50 and 75 foot. I don't know what the
Between 50 and
exact code
75
is.
feet. So, I mean, that's part of this plan.
When I'm building a park, we if we can get a buffer of 100 feet, we go with a buffer
Right.
of 100 feet. But just keep in mind also, the councilman, this piece right here, which shows as part of the overall plan, is actually a property currently owned by the town of Brookhaven with a field on it, with a parking lot, with lights. And you can see there's a substantial buffer already there, which is why we tried to keep it within, inside that, so.
Well, I'm just saying, but part of this design says the town will maintain at least a 50 to 75
minimum,
foot
yes.
buffer.
Yeah.
Not wherever possible, Mike.
Right,
That's
right.
the
Yeah.
minimum that
Yeah.
you make
That's
get.
too
All right, or greater. That's all I wanted to make out.
That's key. Yeah, that's key, yeah. And the fact that it's commercial along there helps, yeah.
I'd like to ask a little bit about public safety. This is in a very, I guess, built-out area, and what does the town of Brookhaven do with regard to trying to keep sort of crime down, you know, make it safe throughout the entire day?
Well, the
Do you
gates
have, you know,
the gates
emergency
are
phones where people could call if they were?
Well, a lot of the programs that were run on this would be at some town programs, town summer baseball leagues, town summer soccer leagues, where there's staff there during the entire, you know, evening or whatever, however long the activity is going on. You know, public safety routinely patrols parks locations throughout the town. When a park is closed, it's locked up. Typically, we've started a program where a lot of our parks are starting to have cameras on them. But when, you know, my experience has been over the last 6 years as I've been Parks Commissioner, as we come in and fix sort of a dilapidated park with promoted vandalism and you know, late night activity. When we clean it up and we make a facility such as this that's going to be used, you know, till 11 o'clock at night, you really see very few, if any, problems at them. If you look at some of our bigger parks, Diamond in the Pines, the Heritage Park in Mount Sinai, we really have very little, if any, problems there at all. So once we go in and fix up a place and make a nice facility, it's used so much that there isn't really time for kids to,
This is
whoever's
like
causing trouble.
ATG years now.
There's a lot of problems
Yeah,
at this
one-
site right now.
I haven't grown up in the area, and I actually played Little League Baseball on the 2 Little League fields there. The area, and Loretta walked it with John Turner and myself yesterday. It wasn't that we were walking through woods. There's already significant trails that are through there, and kids with bikes are riding back there, and even having grown up in the area, I knew the area very well when we walked around. So I remember, I haven't been back there in years, but it's significantly used right now. You know, it's definitely not just a wooded area, and you can kind of see from the old aerial that you could see some paths that are already through there, and there's some significant paths that are all around the property.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like the idea of the cameras.
Any other questions regarding this particular item?
Yes.
Move on.
Oh, you
We
mean,
have more
okay,
other
yeah, okay.
reports, don't we?
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next
Who else is going to speak?
set of information that we have before you is the resolution adopted by the town, Brookhaven Town Board, that was approved at their meeting of June 1st, 2010, indicating that they would in fact improve and maintain the property as an active parks and ball fields. Attached to that are approximately 12 letters of support from local civics, youth groups, commercial establishments in the area. And Kevin, if you have anything
If I
further.
could just chime in on that, along with those letters, I work for the legislature, I know Tom could chime in on this too. While we were starting to develop this proposal, we actually went to the community. We went to the Selden Civic, the Center East Civic. We went before the school board and the PTA and did presentations about this in front of each and every one of those groups. We had absolutely, really, there was no resistance to the plan. It was very supportive. It was something that the legislature felt very important, it to be very important that we went out and did an actual community outreach to say, here's what we're going to do, here's an idea, what do you think? So we went before those 4 separate groups. You could see letters of recommendation from all of them and from different businesses in the area that we've already talked to. A big thing with this proposal is at the end of Boyle Road, there's Middle Country Road and Boyle Road that intersect. We have some shopping centers that are there that are relatively vacant. The property owners there were very excited about it because what that's going to do is people will be coming down from Boyle Road to take their kids. So they're very excited about having a new destination that could attract more people to their shopping centers and develop some more business within the corridor on Middle Country Road right in that area. So that's why the business community was very involved in being a part of this idea too.
Okay, thank you.
And they're committed to doing the walking trail, right?
Absolutely. That's something
very-
we'd like to see.
That's very exciting. I love that idea.
Okay. Larry, your question, please?
My question is, what about the local homeowners? I mean, I can understand why soccer leagues and so forth would be supportive, but What about the local?
The local homeowners, it's, as we said before, a big thing that we have to realize about this property itself is, with the existing park right here, these homeowners already have a park that's lit and they're aware of what's going on there. I think with this new proposal, it's actually going to give them a little bit more of a buffer, and it's also going to give them new lights there that it's actually going to improve the area. This is a business corridor down here, so they're not going to be significantly affected. This was developed as baseball fields, so it's something that's already been there. So really the parcel that we're looking at is right here, and you know, there's not a lot of homes that really are affected by this park itself. So that's really the key about the whole proposal, that it's really, for the community itself, it just gives them an opportunity to have a nice park across the street, and it's not really affecting a lot in the area.
Loretta, is there anything else that we
And
should?
there's one more item, we've attached the authorizing a planning steps resolution of 1990-2011, and the subsequent meeting minutes from the legislature, including the Environment, Planning, and Agricultural Committee minutes of November 14th, when it was presented to them for approval. The minutes to the full legislative meeting, and then the minutes to approve it, and then the minutes of the subsequent legislative meeting that voted to override the county executive's veto. So that is in total all the discussions in minute meetings that we have before you.
Thank you.
Welcome. And I think that's it as far as information provided. If you have any further questions.
I'm just looking at some of these minutes quickly, and it's on what's labeled as page 93, Loretta? Okay, something about, this is the parcel that was vetoed, right? Is this the same parcel? Or is that something we should be made aware of?
It was vetoed by the county by the county executive, and then before them was the opportunity to override that veto, and they did.
And the legislature did take into consideration acquisition of school property, and they had some concerns and asked for additional information. You know, that was presented to them. I mean, it really boils down to the fact that, you know, did we make a park out of it and the county acquired it, or we sell it to a developer and we get houses?
Which is the
Right.
worst.
Yes.
All right. Okay, any other, yes, sir, state your name, please.
Hi, I'm Legislator Tom Muratori. That's my district that this is, project is going over. I'd just like to say a few words if possible.
Sure, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a project that's probably, what I've seen in the legislature, one of the most approved by the people in the area. I mean, Kevin and I have been out, along with my staff, to every kind of meeting possible in the district, reaching out to the people, telling them what our plan is. We have got, as you see, we got loads of letters of support. I don't know of one phone call or letter that we've got in opposition to this. This is something that's going to benefit everyone in the town of Brookhaven. Kara's district, my district, the adjoining district. It's something that's really, it's needed in the district. And it's being embraced by the people. They're looking forward to it. Like the one gentleman said, it's either going to be a park or it's going to be a housing development. You know, so what's best for the community? You know, especially a community that doesn't have a lot of parkland. So I would hope that you would help the people of the 4th Legislative District, the people of the town of Brookhaven, and get this approved so we can pass it over to the town. They can do their excellent job of making it a really recreational place that's going to be a jewel in Suffolk County and the town of Brookhaven. So again, I hope you will support us on this. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I just want to make one
Yes,
further
Loretta.
comment, that this will be open to all Suffolk County residents.
Okay.
As, you know, the county will be acquiring the property, and the town will be improving and maintaining it, and will be open to all county residents.
Thank you. Okay. Yes, Mike.
I don't see any real problems with this, aside from, you know, there's gonna be an increase in traffic, but it's counterbalanced by so much. I know for a fact that there's a deficit of parkland in the area. There's a deficit always of sports fields throughout the county. We've encountered it so many times. We have the proposed report from John Turner. There's a few reptiles on the property. That's about it.
No,
Speculating, he's
No.
speculating.
no, he indicated that that may occur because of the,
It's a garter snake. I'm not worried about it.
No tiger salmon?
no,
They taste great.
no wetlands.
There was a transient moth on there. I did see that. But I just, there's so many issues that counterbalance some of the minor stuff. I
Okay.
think it'll be a benefit for the community.
Would someone
I'll
like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. This is, it's going to be
Type 1 action,
unlisted.
negative declaration, and you gotta state your reasons for your neg deck. First one is, there's no significant,
Environmental impact.
environmental impacts as identified in, 617, whatever it is. I would like to also
Continue.
indicate that a minimum of 50 to 75-foot buffer will be maintained, at the construction of all areas, and if the plan changes, it be resubmitted to CEQ, if that in
There's
fact
substantial
changes.
changes.
Significant changes to the
It's also
plan.
got to be dark skies.
Well, that's in there.
Yes, that the lighting be dark skies lighting.
In addition to no significant environmental impacts, I also feel it should be added that it will be a cultural and social positive impact for the community, which is also part of the secret review.
And we always sometimes used to add that the project as proposed will have less, impact than if property is used for build out of a residential.
In certain ways, it's a preservation of open space, really, is what it is. So that's my motion. I'm sticking with it as amended by Jim.
Thank you, Jim. Seconded by Carol. All in favor? Motion passed.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank everyone who took the time and effort in this short 4 weeks since our last meeting to prepare the Part 3 land assessment form and provide all this information to us, which we really did feel that we were lacking in a little bit of information. Thank you, everybody, for your
One more
participation.
thing, make sure the correct map goes with the
Yes.
information to the legislature.
Okay. Sorry about that for them.
No. Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
There's a statute of limitations.
Well, that's what we're here for.
That's exactly right.
Put the kibosh on it and don't have to come back. Expect us to roll over dead.
Not much. I was gonna ask you about that.
I was wondering what they were going to do with the lighting there.
Okay, members of the board, moving on. Recommendations for LAD's reports. Recommendations for legislative resolutions laid on the table December 17th, 2013. That should be in your packets, everybody. Everything going on there that we
Yeah,
should be
the
aware of?
December 17th, very short,
Yeah,
as you
very
can see, and no items.
Yeah, type 2s or, okay. Okay. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion?
Accept staff rec.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Wait a minute, where do you go? Oh, there you are.
She's right here.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passed. Thank you.
I did.
Recommendation for legislative resolutions laid on the table January 2nd, 2014. Okay, Sean, is there anything in here we should be brought
Okay.
up to speed on?
Yeah, the staff recommendation on the left-hand side, the resolution that Richard mentioned is on this, but in terms of a secret standpoint, not an issue, but Richard brought that to your
So that'd
attention.
be
Yes.
10:02.
Right.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
All right, motion, accept staff rec.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Eva. All in favor? Motion passed. Okay. Next on the agenda. Election of officers.
Before you do election of officers,
Yes.
I have another piece of business. A year or two ago, Kara sponsored a piece of legislation that prevented fracking wastewater from going into Suffolk County sewers, which I think was really extremely beneficial. The next thing So therefore it was great.
We're good.
But the next thing that I'm concerned about is that now they are using fracking wastewater in certain areas to salt roads.
We passed that legislation.
You did?
We did.
Okay, so
We
when did that
was
pass?
Rob Calarco's bill.
Okay, and when did that pass?
Say early last year.
Okay,
Very
okay,
good.
wonderful. So that's what we're
Very good.
okay. Thank you.
So it's not on the roads, it's not on S2Ps? and-
Yes, it's
Well,
coming
it's not in
here,
county
hopefully.
STP.
County
Yes.
STP.
I think there's actually gonna be, it sounds like Doc Spencer's working on another one that goes more broadly into any STP.
Yeah, yeah, the
And there
jurisdiction.
was something else, but that hasn't been laid on the table yet, so we'll see that
Out
one.
of curiosity, Larry, maybe you know, or maybe you know, approximately how much of Suffolk County is covered by sewage treatment plants,
Only
percentage-wise?
27%?
By any,
It's less than
yeah,
a
I can
third,
remember the number.
less than a third of the
It's
county.
very little.
It's very little.
Yeah, we got them, didn't we get?
No, I
a
didn't remember the
presentation?
number, that's what I wanted to know, the percentage. And of
It's
that
like
27%, how much are
20.
county sewers?
Is what, sewer?
Most of it's county.
That's what I thought,
Yeah,
there's only a
yeah.
few small package treatment plants, okay.
No, there's 123.
Alrighty, now, moving on next, we have elections of officers. Any discussion? Any
No.
motions, any nominations? Move on.
I'll nominate current team, Gloria and Jim, as chair and vice chair.
Second.
Is there a motion?
Oh, he made the motion.
I'm the motion.
I seconded.
All in favor? I'm sorry.
It rattled you so badly, rattled you so badly that you got shit. Got reelected?
Okay, congratulations, Jim.
So now you can't go to Tennessee anymore.
You're in.
Doesn't matter. Okay.
We're chaining you to the,
Yeah.
On using,
There are no CAC members here, no CAC concerns. Is there anything else anyone else wants to say, bring up, talk, discuss?
Yeah, I'd like to bring up one
Go
thing.
ahead.
Regarding of all things lobsters and things like that. The best way to put this is I keep on hearing rumors that maybe the studies that were done in Connecticut a while back may have been not all that good. And that was the justification for a lot of what happened in Connecticut. And there's talk right now about repealing some of the regulations that were based upon those studies. They're suspect, shall we say. I know there's a new study out there right now, and don't know the results of it or anything, but it may not support what some people have been saying in the past about lobsters. In other words, our favorite chemical may not have the impact and may not be uptaken.
What's the status on that in terms of?
Everybody's
Snyderman
waiting.
pushing it?
He has to reintroduce the bill to do it, and the health department and the county executive's office is against it at this point in time. And they've quietly talked to members of the legislature. And so he will have to reintroduce it with all bills by the end of the year. He'll reintroduce and we'll have to go through the same procedure again. Hopefully the study will be done by then. It was supposed to have been finished in November, but they're double checking stuff.
What study was that?
This is the latest Connecticut study that looked at methylphenidate. They took it off of a bunch of, took lobsters off of a bunch of harbors and as far inland as they could catch the things. And so they're studying them right now. And again, no results have come out, but I think it looks pretty good that the chemical is not being uptaken into the, I think uptaken is the word, but it's not getting into the lobsters.
But the election's over now, so is Jay gonna really reintroduce that?
He's deputy presiding officer, you never know. You never know. You said it, not me.
I mean, you know, you got the environmental vote, right?
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Who knows what he's going for next?
Yeah. All right.
Yes, the meeting's adjourned.